Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of GeekVerse Podcast. We are here reviewing the fourth episode, spoilers review of Miss Marvel. I am one of your hosts, the Trains, Taylor Field.
I am the
What
Jin.
kind of
Kirklin
nickname is
Patzer. Just Trains. It's so this guy was falling asleep in the episode that he had to go get a bowl of cereal to help keep him up. That's what that is.
Exactly.
Did you say your name?
I did. I am the Jin. Kirklin Patzer.
Sorry.
That's
What
okay.
you changed your name?
I
on
know.
Me.
It's like if you can't have it, none of us can have it. So I changed
I
it.
am the big me, little me, Dylan Must.
Yes. So before we get into our non-spoilers and spoilers for this episode, some plugs. You can find us with the internet connection. The search bar, GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter, and GeekVerse on our Facebook. You can also find us on our Patreon, where you can get ad-free, exclusive early episodes and a whole bunch of other super cool tier rewards as well. Let's see. I think we got some Patreon folks here, Patreon producers. I got a shout out. Oh yeah, we got Aaron Braden. Wow, what a legend. April of Darkness, you are fantastic. Carl Ritchie, missed you. You weren't an After 9. Smalley Biggs, you're absolutely amazing. Shout outs to
Carl
all
missed
you.
his first After 9, eh?
Yeah, he did. He was a
Yeah.
big deal.
Wow.
Like
Yeah,
you just
it
like
was unfortunate.
praising everybody. It's just like Carl misses first after 9.
Yeah, I got called out.
Yeah, well, I mean, other than that, like, what else is cooking in the Geekverse? Any good side quest stuff, Dylan?
Side quest got a little delayed this week for reasons, but Wednesday, me and Travis are gonna record another one in its place. That'll be up, and then next week some more good stuff, and then I'm doing Out of Mana again. I'm gonna be bringing Tyler Briggs back to the podcast. So
Ooh.
that'll
Out
be a
of the
good
woods.
fun one. So look forward to that.
He's gonna see the game list like, oh, that's
I
exciting.
know. I've been trying to line it up so that Travis was on the next episode after you, so he could react to your crazy ranking stuff. But now Briggs is gonna do it.
A
so
Briggs
I'm curious to see
reaction
that.
is definitely top
Mhm.
tier for that. That's incredible. What about you, Kirklin? You got anything brewing?
Podcast wise, I mean, just I feel like we've done some reviews lately. My mind's just been so preoccupied. I got a nice little vacation coming up, so my mind is not really on podcasts right now. So I'm excited to go out in the wilderness and just take a step away from it. But no,
Yeah.
lots of content. Check the feeds. Check the all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
If anyone
right
couldn't
on.
tell, we're back on the midnight shift. If
Yes,
things feel a bit
absolutely.
different than the first 3 episodes, that might be why.
Oh,
The
they're feeling
names, the
different.
nicknames are going downhill. It's,
Yeah.
me and Dylan have the same one, but Taylor's the only one that's changed.
Yeah, the nicknames are going downhill. Well, I mean, let's get into it. I mean, non-spoilers first off. So,
Yeah.
I mean, last week it was, I think me and Kirkland were kind of on the more positive spectrum, and you, Dylan, were more like not jiving with it. So I'm curious to know, like, did that flip for you this week, or are you still feeling the same kind of boat?
Yeah, I don't want to be hyperbolic here. This was fucking awful. I hated every second of this episode, and I think if you take this episode might be my new low for MCU. Like it might be the
Wow.
single worst
Oh my gosh.
MCU thing.
This man
that
still
there
hasn't seen
is.
Eternals. All the listeners.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. This is below Dark World for me. Now, obviously, if you took the show and you averaged it out, the first 2 episodes are so good that
Yeah.
it brings that average up quite a bit. But man, I am so disappointed because I did love those first 2 episodes. 3 really went downhill, and this was just horrible. Like everything, this whole episode's pretty much action, and all of it's terrible. The story stuff is just contrived out the ass. Character writing, everything sucked in this episode. I don't think I have a single good thing to say about it. So there you go. Those are my
There
non-spoiler
you go.
thoughts. I am not a fan of this show anymore, and that's really sad to say.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
sad. Especially with how high it was, in the first
Mhm.
2. I'll go next. I don't know where Taylor feels at all. Man, I loved the first few episodes. Like, if you've been tuning into all of our reviews, like I've really been praising the show. Like, Dylan did not love the last episode. I really did. Like I was praising up the Yahoo. I really, really liked it. And this one, it felt like a significant drop off for me. I don't think it's enough for me to like be taken out of the show, but it felt noticeably different. And I did rewatch last week's episode, and there was some things particular like about the villains and stuff that I was really like, oh, okay, these villains are definitely a lot worse than like my first initial reaction. I feel like maybe I was just a lot higher on like other parts of the episode that the villains I just didn't really think about, but then rewatching it's just like, oh yeah, there's some blaring issues here. And then in this episode, because we just had more of them, it was a little bit more of oof for sure. And I don't know what it was specifically. I feel like there was definitely some pacing issues in this episode, and like I feel like it's tough for me to like actually pinpoint like a score on this specific episode, because there's a lot of things I had issues with, but in the things that I had issues with, maybe it's like a location or someone that they're talking to. Like I didn't like the whole overall situation, but there was some like gold specks in there that I was like, oh, like I wouldn't have got this if we weren't dealing with this thing that I don't really love. That's like my spoiler-free, description of the situation. I'll explain more of it in spoilers section for sure. But yeah, I think it definitely felt a lot lesser than the previous 3 were for me. And like it's still good, like it's still passable in my eyes, but I definitely think that it felt significantly less. And there's a couple of different reasons I think I'll bring up in the spoiler section on just going to that further. But overall, like I'm still positive on the show. I think also like those last 3 were just so positive for me. I'm hoping for maybe more of that. But yeah, it felt a lot different for me. So I'm excited to talk about more spoiler stuff. I'll pass it along to Taylor Field. See if he is still riding high.
Riding high. I mean,
maybe it's the midnight too. Maybe it's just getting to me. It's like, oh, I don't know if I like this.
And midnight definitely plays a part in it, I think, because like going into it, it was definitely a little bit more on the positive end than that previous episode, but this episode just maybe it was the rush component for certain story elements that I just wasn't a big fan of. And I don't mind a little bit of action, and this episode had a couple action things that I was definitely kind of jiving with, but it's definitely not like the best episode or the worst episode for me. It's just like a filler one, I guess, and it wasn't really offering enough sustenance. Like I said, like I was falling asleep and I didn't pass out. I got cereal and it kept me awake. So, yeah, it's just, I guess their story elements they were tackling was just not doing it for me, and I'm becoming less and less a fan of the discount Eternals. So yeah, it's just it's somewhere in between, I guess. Like the previous episodes that I watched, I really liked a lot more, and I don't know, maybe like it was a change of setting and everything. I don't want to contribute that to like, because obviously we know there's a change of setting in this episode, not a spoiler, but it's just, I don't want to say that's the reason behind it, because it's not. We get to learn a lot more, which I really enjoyed getting to learn a little bit more of the backstory here. But I feel like they were trying to do some things that didn't execute well, or they were trying to do some things that just, I guess, didn't necessarily make sense. It just got a little convoluted for me, and that's probably my only real con with it, on top of it being a little bit more of a rushed episode. So I'd say that's it for me.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah.
Unless you guys have anything else, we can jump into spoilers after our first ad break.
Let's take our first ad break. Yeah, get into
Okay.
spoilers.
We'll be right back. And we're back. So where do you guys want to start off? What is the one kicker for you?
I want to let's talk about these discount Eternals. We theorized about this last week of, okay, they get arrested. What is at the end of these characters? My worst fear was that they just break out of prison immediately and they're back on the run, which happened. They broke out of prison. They weren't even actually in their cells yet. They were still just going to prison, and they just
on
break
that handcuff
out.
train. Yeah.
And to me, the part that makes this even worse is that, of course, they immediately end up in Karachi, and they're
They
like
fast travel there,
Kamala. Yeah, they fast traveled there. And then this is the thing. Last week, Kamala easily beat them without even having to think about it. She just very easily beat them in combat. But then half of this episode is them, being so scared to fight these people, who she easily defeated 2 days ago. So that didn't work for me at all.
Yeah. I think I could push back a little bit on last week's episode. I wouldn't say that she defeated them. I feel like she was just trying to defend herself and run away, because it's not like she just decimated them and they're knocked out, right? Like a Mortal Kombat finisher. But yeah, I for your fears though, like going into this episode, of just breaking out right away. I was so just, you know that GIF when he's just
The double
like
blink, yeah.
yeah, like did that just happen? Like when they are just dismantling of the DODC, I think that's their little
Yeah.
their little name there. I don't think I've had a single, like, since the DODC has been introduced in the MCU, I don't think I've had like a single instance of being like, these guys are badass. These guys are like they really got stuff under control. Like they just always seem like fucking goofs. And then like, yeah, we got the discount Eternals just absolutely decimate them like instantly, and then they just like get out seemingly through like a side door that's just like not protected at all, and then yeah, they just teleport to Karashi, where it seems like they're like down the street with how quickly they get there, honestly. And I would imagine it's like on the complete other side of the world.
I googled that. It's at least a 16-hour flight from America to this place.
So there you go. They got there quick, and then I'm sure Kamran is like pretty close behind them. Honestly, he probably got on that next flight too. We didn't see him follow them, but I'm assuming he's gonna be pretty close behind.
Yeah, he had to transfer. He had a layover or something.
And like that, so that was thumbs down in my eyes. And again, I think it's because I rewatched last week's episode and I was already like, ooh, okay, yeah, these villains are worse than I initially thought. And then like we have more of that stuff. It's like, ugh, like I'm really, really not liking these villains. And initially it didn't really bother me, but now it really is. And just like on their like, they must be like flying with Maverick, you know, in Top Gun, just flying to Karashi, like getting there absolutely in Mach 10 speed. Like it is insane how quickly they get there. Because like initially, going from last week's episode, I thought it was going to be like Kamala, and I'm kind of jumping places, but last week I thought Kamala was going to have to like try to beg her mom to like take her to Karashi, and then it's just like the episode started, they're just on the plane, and I think like in my mind I'm like, I'm gonna give this a pass just to like, it's a TV show and like we don't want to spend more time to get that. But I think just with the overall pacing of the episode, it makes moments like that a little bit less hand wavy, for lack of a better term. Like I can't just look past that. I think because there is multiple pacing issues in this, so I can kind of like identify multiple of them, if that makes any sense. But yeah, so
I mean, that's one of the many reasons why this episode, just all the story beats just feel very contrived, where like I don't know, she's like in school and stuff, and she's like, oh no, we just gotta go visit your grandma, like let's go, it's all good, doesn't matter.
And like from the perspective of her mom, like I think that one line that she gave Kamala, being like, yeah, I know you ruined your brother's wedding, so you're grounded for like many years, but your grandma just kind of wants us to travel across
and
the
go
world,
have fun
like
with your cousins, go like party and like do these weird like spice salt things and get high with your friends on the beach. Like she doesn't even care where she is in this random new city that they've never been to before together.
A completely different continent. Like I understand like they have family there, but still I just couldn't believe that she's just like, her cousins just fucked off in like the middle of nowhere. Like Kamala, I'm assuming, hasn't been there since she was like a baby, basically, like if at all. Like it just seems so weird of she can just go on this adventure and like no consequence really. I don't know, maybe yeah, I don't know what it is. I feel like maybe there was a lot more magic on like the first two episodes of just like the artsy style of just like I was completely captivated by. So when I have these, like it's almost, I don't know, I'm kind of rambling here, but I was gonna bring up like the younger audience aspect of it, because I feel like there was a lot more moments in this episode that I could be like, oh, this reminds me of like a younger audience type show. Again, just from my own knowledge, like Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, like that type of humor, I feel like it wouldn't hit me as much as it would back then, like when I really liked that show. But like, so for like a younger audience watching this show, I feel like all of these one-liners that Kamala's having with oh my gosh, I forget his name, but the Red Dagger guy, like when they're having that fight and they're kind of like bickering back and forth, like none of that really worked for me, which I felt like I was thinking, I'm like, did this happen in the first episode and it really worked for me, and now it's just like something happened that it's not for me? But I feel like it is like multiple things that are making it worse for me. I don't know if that makes any sense there. I was kind of rambling. I don't know.
That scene sucked. I mean, like I said, every scene sucked for me, but that one in particular, like there was no tension in that scene whatsoever between like the character stuff and this introduction of this new character, and like just the choreography of this stuff too. And I mean, I'm not mad that they chose to go down this route with her powers, but for me, it's not working. Like, and that's why, like, even if they still had her old powers where she's kind of Mr. Fantastic-y and swinging around, like, if it still looked as bad as this CGI looks, I think I'd feel the exact same way. But I don't know. Like, what did you guys? I feel like that scene was where we got the most of that so far in terms of seeing her powers used in different ways. And like, how is that working for you guys? Are you finding that interesting in these fight scenes?
Taylor, you want to jump in? You haven't talked in a while.
It's in terms of like the quality and the CGI, I definitely wasn't spotting anything totally, I guess, different from the previous episodes. It still looked pretty consistent and the same, which again, it's not perfect. It's definitely noticeable, but it's not.
It's no log truck.
Yeah, it's no log truck. However,
We
there
did get
was
a
a
bus. That was a hell of a lot like a log truck.
there was a scene when they were going to, I guess, Nanny's home. No, sorry, not Nanny's home. It was the breakfast place, I guess. It was basically like an outside shot of the joint, and then this car was pulling up, like a black car pulling up in front behind a tree, and oh my god, was that car CGI'd out the wazoo. It looked so bad. You could actually see like the blurred like border lines around the car as it was driving into the driveway. Like, oh, it hurt my eyes.
When Kamala finds Nani like on the balcony there, and they're just like looking at like the distance. And this one was really like, oh yeah, they're just at a green screen there, and I'm like,
Remember
she's
this place,
I'm
my
like,
sons.
I'm like, she's gonna drop the Thor line. Look at
Yeah.
it, isn't it beautiful, Kamala? And I'm like, oh no, please don't drop that.
That scene looked so bad. And then I also, dude, I have this weird thing now where I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like this weird sensation where if you just watch the editing of that scene, like the I guess the grandma, like sometimes she'll have her arm around Kamala and the other scenes she won't. And there's like no transition between that happening. It's just like bad editing essentially. But I noticed that a couple times where it's like, yeah, her arm's around her and then the like camera flips really quick and flips back. And then she's like a few feet away from her. And there was a ton of that in that scene. Yeah, just really, really like, and whatever that emotional impact of that scene was supposed to be, just didn't work at all for me because I was so distracted by the terrible editing and CGI.
Yeah, it like a similar thing I noticed when Kamala's sweating her no balls off. It like for not wearing or she had jeans on so they couldn't go inside where the AC is. There's a few times because she's just sweating, right? She's eating that like super spicy meal, which I like that humor. Thought that was funny. But when she's like sweating and then it goes to like a different camera, like behind like her mom or something, she didn't have like any sweat on her face at all, and then it would go back to like the zoom in shot, and again, that's maybe something that if that was the only instance of like that kind of messy editing, I probably would have just hand waved it and not really noticed it. But yeah, like the one that you shouted out, like I feel like I can like force myself to like look past that stuff. But that one was pretty noticeable because as you mentioned, like it happened multiple times and it was a little unforgivable there.
This is like actively cringing during that scene. Going back to that dude can someone IMDb his name? We should probably get the character's name.
Yeah,
Of this
I'll
Red
pull up
Dagger
that
guy.
IMDb.
But yeah, we get introduced to this guy, and this is another thing to me. This whole storyline with him in this episode, very contrived, where they kind of have this battle scene that kind of sucks, and then she like kind of instantly trusts him, goes with him like through this weird kitchen. They go into this dojo, and then she just like she leaves the dojo to go hang out with her family, and then she just comes back and is like kind of doing some training there. Like they're just all on board of like solving this thing together. And to me, there's no pacing or transition or build up to that. And I'm guessing that's because of the 6-episode show, because I'm guessing we're going to end up back in New York by the end of this. So whatever this Karachi storyline is, like maybe it's just a 2-episode sort of thing, this episode and next episode perhaps. And they got to rush some of that stuff, but it just didn't work at all for me. And personally, I thought the performance from Red Cloak Dagger guy, Chemo is apparently his name, I'm guessing.
That's his
based on our
nickname.
banner.
That's what his friends call him. Come here is his actual name.
Gotcha. I thought the acting was pretty bad in pretty much every scene, and didn't really care much for this dojo master guy either. But I just found the whole sequence so strange and unnecessary, and just aside from the plot that we've been building up to in the last 3 episodes. So I'm not excited to see more of this character, but it seems like he'll be around for the rest of it, I'm guessing. And I hope he doesn't make it past this show and we don't have to see him in the greater MCU. But what did you guys think of this chemo fellow?
On IMDb, it says he's in 4 episodes, so I feel like we'll probably have him for the rest of the show.
How?
'cause
Wait, what?
That's impossible.
Is there a hidden 7th episode? How is that possible? Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he's in the background somewhere. He's an extra.
Oh my God, he was
I
hidden
don't
in the
know.
background the whole time.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, I don't understand that, but
Yeah.
I'm guessing
I
that it means he's at least in 3 then, so I should get ready to see him in episodes 5 and 6 as well.
Absolutely. So yeah, with Kareem, that character, I think like the idea of what that character is, of just like this, like he's representing like the Red Dagger faction. I think that is interesting. There is some good potential there, but I don't know if it might be like a mix of the performance. I felt like also the transition of him just being like, seeing Kamala as like an enemy, like literally throwing daggers at her, like going for the kill here. Like
Yeah.
those were not stun daggers, like those
No.
would have murdered someone. And then like instantly, and like they have this again awkward fight, which like I didn't even really touch upon the CGI. I think the CGI has looked better in the show. I don't think it was the worst CGI I've seen. So like it was kind of okay. This is a TV show. Like I try to give it that pass, but I just think like the choreography wasn't that interesting. Like I think it was more than
It's
what
so
the CGI
slow.
was. Yeah, it was very slow, and
Yeah.
I don't know. There's probably multiple factors on why it felt that way, or maybe it's just the direction of what they're trying to go for. I just think like even in this series, like I've seen her use her powers and it looked better than what that was, but I don't know. But like I felt like their one-on-one like banter and stuff, it just really wasn't hitting for me. And like Amon, like she's amazing, but like I still felt like in that particular scene, it was just kind of flat. Even for me really liking her as an actress and like for the character that she's been portraying this entire series, I think it was just like, I'm kind of surprised that I wasn't feeling more in that, because there was like her life was kind of on the line, like she's having a full on fight here. She's showing off her powers for us, the viewers. She's got her nice little mask on now. Like there's so many things on why it should have been awesome, but it didn't hit for me. And then yeah, he just like flips right away, like, oh yeah, like come meet my friends, and again, just super sus situation. Like this guy tried to murder you here, you're just gonna like follow him in a completely different country, continent that you like. There was just a bunch of flags going off in my head. I'm like, this just doesn't really jive with me. And I think maybe just the overall, like Taylor, you're hinting at in the spoiler-free section of just like we completely changed settings here. Like we're in a completely different realm of where we were. I guess not a different realm. We're in the same dimension. We're still on Earth, but other side of the world. Like I think maybe just that whole shift really made it feel different from, her being in Jersey City, like with like going to school and just her like mosque life, like all those different things that I was really loving from this first step. Like that's just, I don't want to say it's gone. I'm assuming we'll get it again before the show's over, but like it just completely took a back seat for this new adventure. And I think it was maybe a little abrupt for me, maybe rushed, maybe just completely different, that I don't really like it as much. But like that being said, like there was still just seeing the city, that was really cool for me. And just, again, we got more like partition talk, and like since the show was going on, like I don't think I had ever heard that, so I actually was like Googling like what that was, like the partition of India, and like actually like I can't believe I didn't learn about that in like school or anything. Like it just seems like such a major event, so that's a huge credit for the show to actually just like putting that in like the spotlight, right? Like it was like one of the biggest refugee like movement like ever. Like it's insane that happened. So I think showcasing that is really important, and actually being like in Pakistan, that's really, really cool. But I just think where it was placed in the show was messy for me. So that's why I'm kind of torn, because like I don't really like what I'm holding here, but there's some gold on this plate of mess that I'm looking at. And again, that was kind of a long rant. I think I started on one point and on another, but that's what happens on 1 a.m. Reviews sometimes. So, but again, like with how messy that explanation was, that's kind of how my messy feeling is on this episode. So
definitely. Taylor, do you have any thoughts on the on Chemo, this new character, up and coming character who's in apparently 4 of 7. I don't even. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but he's
Well,
in
like the
trailer.
Q&A.
Yeah,
Maybe, I don't
he
know.
was in the trailer.
When he first appeared, I thought, okay, like the way they were talking, I was getting confused because, like, is he one of the, not the Jinn, the
Discount.
Discount Eternals. Yeah, is he one of the Discount
Celestial, or
Eternals?
what are
Yeah.
they called?
Celestines,
Celestines?
sentient, I don't know, something like that. Something
I'll look it up,
janky,
I'll look it
but
Clandestine.
clandestines.
Yes,
That's
there you
it.
go.
That's it.
Good pull.
So I just thought, like, what is going on? I don't know who the daggers are here, but yeah, they're fighting and everything, and then she just willingly just goes off into this secret hideout with him, and then this like wise like leader comes out, serves them food, and they talk
Waleed
about like
was that guy's name.
Waleed. Waleed was cool, but yeah, they just start eating. They're just talking about like the redness of the sweet and sour sauce, and I'm like, is this really relevant? But sure enough, we got it, and I thought that it would be cool if we got a little bit of a training segment here. I didn't need the Discount Eternals to really crash this party and go in there. Like, it all feels so rushed. We have her going in with this guy that she met like 5 seconds ago. Then she is at a campfire with him, laughing it up. And then now she's back here doing some training, and then boom, party's crashed. It just seems absurd. Like, they should have kept the Discount Eternals back in America, where they were obviously going to, where Kamala was going to obviously go back to fight. Just leave them there. But no, we could have had a little bit more. But then we had to have Waleed, was his name? Sorry,
Yeah, Waleed.
Waleed. We had to have
With a D.
his with a D, Waleed.
At the end,
We had to
yeah.
have his unnecessary death in this, which is just super, super upsetting.
That was
Were
a
you
very
upset
like
by it?
honorable death, right? When he's like locking eyes with his enemy, and then just like he sees Kamala, and I don't know if there's a relation between him and Chemo, but like it seems like maybe something like that, and then yeah,
Well, he
just
didn't
toss
seem to
those
care when he
daggers.
died. He was like, "Let's get the fuck out of here." Like, I don't care.
Oh,
about
yeah.
bringing his body with me or anything.
Was Chemo killing these clandestines? Because
Oh,
they
yeah.
looked like they were fucking dead.
I think he definitely murked that one dude that
Yeah.
like
Oh,
collapsed in front of him,
yeah.
and I'm like,
As-
that's like a bad guy way to kill someone.
Well, we saw those. We saw like those throwing stars, whatever they were. Like those were deadly, and he was hucking those around like they were nothing. So yeah, I think he was aiming to kill.
It's so funny, Taylor. You're talking about how, like, when Chemo first showed up, and then you didn't know if that was like the clandestine people, which I completely thought the same because they have the exact same outfit. Technically, like it's just like a red bandana covering their face. Nothing else is really like, you know, they don't have like a super suit signifying that they're a bad guy or a good guy. So when the clandestines like crash like the Red Dagger party, I'm just like, who the fuck are these people now? Like more Red Daggers, or like these are like the Blue Daggers, you know, like a rival gang in town or something like that, because it just didn't click in my head that this could possibly be the people that were in Jersey City, you know, arrested by the DODC. It was very strange. And then I feel like I'm just gonna keep expecting people to just crash through a roof. Like anytime there's a skylight, like just be prepared for someone with a bandana over their face.
Even if
to
there's
just
not, they'll just
drop
fast
from the
travel
sky.
into the city and fall from the sky. Kind of
absolutely.
in part of the storyline is this guy kind of gives us more exposition of how this other dimension works, and I gotta say I kind of like I've liked the setup for that in this previous episodes because there's this air of mystery to it. It seems interesting, unique, but the description that we get in this episode just is the least interesting thing ever, where it's just it's this other like purple world that and they're trying to take over this world, and I don't feel like I have any stakes of why I should care about this place anymore, and I'm not really too excited to see much more of it. It doesn't seem like we're going to be going there much more. I don't fully understand like what the purpose of it is in this, but I don't know. Did that explanation of like more explanation of the dark dimension do anything, or I keep calling it dark dimension, but just this alternate dimension do anything?
The purple
for you guys?
dimension.
Yeah, the purple dimension.
Yeah, I feel like maybe like once we were in like the Red Dagger like den, and then I realized that like Waleed is gonna come in here and just explain more what's going on. I'm like, it's almost, you know, grab the popcorn moment. Like, okay, now I'm gonna learn more about all this, about the Jinn, like just the significance of the bangle and everything like that. And I feel like by the end of it, I should have been like, like in the Black Panther like explanation, you know, like that's at the very beginning of the movie, but like it just completely explains everything like very easily, and then it's like, oh, this is so cool, and then like the movie starts, and I'm like, I just can't wait to find out more about what they just explained for me. I feel like by the end of the explanation of like what the Nor dimension was, I think I'm saying that right, is just like, oh, this is definitely not something like new, you know. Like this is okay. They're trying to get back to their realm, but in doing that, they're just gonna break the portal, so then their realm's just gonna like engulf ours. Like, I feel like I've seen MCU movies about this. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So it definitely was samesies, and like, I don't know. Like I think depending on how like the finale of this series, or not the series of the, I think this is this like just a mini series, or do we know, or is it like season 1 possibly?
I think it is a limited series.
Limited series. Okay,
I
so
think so.
by the end of the limited series, I hope maybe like by the end of it I'll be able to look at the whole threat of these clandestines like trying to just break this wall. Like I'm hoping that I'll be comfortable with it being like, okay, this is a good show threat level, you know. But like I think right now it's just something that I've seen before, and it's kind of a big deal on like the scope of it, but I just feel like the way it's playing out, it doesn't feel that way, even though it should be so much more important, right? Like what they're talking about, like this could impact everything. You know, like we have someone pull random, like Peter Parker, who nobody knows who he's Spider-Man, but like he could just be swinging around, all of a sudden he's just like in the Nord dimension, and assuming he's just dead. Like I
You would
I
think
don't know,
Doctor Strange should be onto this place, you know?
yeah. Yeah, maybe
Not he's failing at his job.
I'll see if he's on the IMDb, if he's appearing in 4 episodes. I will say too, it says that Bruno's appearing in 6 episodes, and he definitely wasn't in this episode, right?
Right. Well,
So there you go.
Cracked the code. There is a 7th episode, obviously, that they have not announced.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This is a 6-episode thing. I'm like 90% sure.
Oh, yeah. It says Aman, like the main actress, is only in 6 episodes. So
Okay, there you go.
Not in the 7th one. It's
She's
a
not in the
Bruno-centric episode.
it's
and
Bruno and
Hakeem will-
Kareem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they make up and they become best buddies and all that.
Yeah.
Another is, I guess just looking at all these previous episodes, I've liked that they've switched it up in terms of, I feel like each episode, these side characters, whether it was the dad or Bruno or Nakia, I feel like they always get their moment. They always have a fun moment where each episode you get to see more of these characters, learn more of their backstory and stuff like that. I don't feel like anyone really had a moment this episode. And I think part of it is that you're really supposed to feel that with the grandma and the mom in that scene, or the grandma and Kamala when they're on the balcony, and it's just hard when the CGI is so rough. But I truthfully don't even feel like Amon has any, or Kamala really has any moment or scene in this episode that really stood out to me. Like I think her performance in this episode is just fine. Like I don't think there's anything really fun for her to do. You would think maybe this scene where she is in this other dimension and she's in that like the train shot at the end of the episode. There's nothing really there for her to do. Like she just kind of stands on a train and then it zooms out and you get to see this place. But I don't know. Do you guys feel the same way? Because Kirklin, you mentioned that you think she was great in this episode, but like just in general, you just like her charisma and stuff, or was there like a moment for you that stood out?
No, I think you're very accurate with like your just like observation of like her use, because it just seemed like there wasn't really much for her to go with. Like I think like the quality of the actor is like showing in moments when she's like talking to her mom, and like maybe like the actual dialogue, like the written, like the script, it's not the best, I don't know, meaty like words that they're saying, but maybe just like the mannerisms that she has, and like certain moments when she kind of is like annoyed with her mom, like being a mom, or if she's just getting like super like showing those Kamala-isms that like makes her really like outgoing and like really a unique individual. And I think like that was just really showcased in those first 2 episodes, you know, for sure. But I think I'm still kind of looking for those moments. So if she's just like dropping like 2-line, you know, like a very short, flat like line, but like just the way that she's doing it, like I'm really buying into it. Again, like maybe I'm thinking about those performances earlier, and I'm like, oh, she's just great. I'm like kind of telling myself that, but I really feel like maybe it is those small moments where maybe she doesn't have much to work with, but she's still showing a lot more. That's my own like perspective on it. Because no, you're completely right. Like if you compare her performance in this episode to, you didn't love last episode, but I'm sure you could even say like last week's performance for her character at least was just so much more to work with than in this one. And
Well, even
but-
last week's episode, I forget his name, but the mosque leader, I forget what the term is. for
yeah,
it.
Sheikh
But even he had
Abdullah.
like some great moments, or the dad had
Yeah.
some funny moments too. So yeah, I feel like everyone, like they really have done a good job of mixing up. But I think switching the characters over to a new set of cast almost, and introducing Chemo, and he just kind of sucks. I guess I just felt like in the wake of that there was no one who really got to shine in this episode, and that's too bad.
Yeah, like I was gonna say with like Kamala's mom and like her mom, like Nani, like the grandma and the mom, like they had that moment that they could kind of talk to each other, and then it seems like they didn't have like a mother-daughter relationship that wasn't perfect. So they had like a moment like that where they were kind of like confronting, or like maybe the mom, Kamala's mom was confronting her mom. Too many moms. But like it seemed like maybe we were gonna get somewhere, and then when it seemed like they were gonna get to a point of like really breaking through, I felt like the scene just cut, and then it goes to like Kamala finding her mom, and she's just like eating toffees, and she's super happy as if she had like a resolution with her mom, but it was never shown. So it was just really strange for me, because I'm like, okay, she's gonna talk to Kamala about something that happened that like made it really good here, because it wasn't shown to us, the viewer, and that didn't happen. It's just like, oh, how can you eat these toffees, and then like it's kind of a cute scene to see like Kamala and her mom, kind of having that moment, but it nothing really happened. Like it was just really strange. So for me personally, I felt like I wouldn't say it was like maybe you could say it was a waste to have that moment between Nani and Kamala's mom. But like there was still some good stuff there, but they just didn't reach the potential of what could have come out of it. Because it just seemed like something was missing there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
I'm going to send us to a quick ad break, and then I'll chime in with my thoughts there. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So you mentioned that one scene there where Kamala's mom and Nani were having that kind of discussion there, and the whole setup, I think, for the whole show to this point was that there was some pre-existing conflict, tension that was manifesting there, and I was looking forward to seeing that kind of get dished out. And now we have it here, like, oh, Nani's talking about how your mom's just cleaning up the whole place, and then we finally get them having this confrontation with each other, and it was humorous, but then very meaningful to a point, but not meaningful enough where we didn't get a resolution to it. Like you said, Kirklin, like when Kamala comes home and her mom's just like smiling and is eating the toffees, the way they cut that scene and transition, I was like, oh, this isn't a fucking imposter. This isn't her mom. Like different clothing and everything. This just feels so fucking out of character now.
That is
like,
true, because she had
a
completely different outfit, because she was wearing like a purple like traditional, I don't know what the word for it is in their culture, but like I remember noticing it. I'm like, that's a really beautiful outfit with the purple and everything. And then the next scene, Taylor, you're completely right. It was completely different. It was it was a different day. It was just really, and again, that just kind of plays into like the poor editing stuff that we were talking about earlier.
Well, you're right. It almost does feel like a different day, but I mean, it's the same day, because Kamala comes home and she just seems like she's high or something, or she's like drunk. Cause she's like, "Hi, Kamala, how are you?" She's so smiley and giddy, and then just eating her toffee. It's just so weird. Like the character was shifted, but yeah,
you're hanging out with your cousins, eh? I thought she was like onto her at that moment. Like I completely know that you weren't with your cousins, you fucker. Like I was waiting for that to happen. Maybe not the F-bomb, but but like it just didn't happen, and that's where it was like, oh, okay, like NPC type character here, like in the moment, which is really weird because the mom has been so awesome like throughout the show, and I think even in this episode there is some really great moments with the mom. Maybe the actress is just killing it as that character, but in that moment it was very strange. So your thoughts of it being a different character, or an imposter rather, is, I think it's completely fitting.
You guys mentioned a couple things too about just maybe being like a whole different roster of cast that's with Kamala in this episode, and I think that definitely is kind of like a setback, because I mean, not including Discount Eternals, but just getting three episodes in so far of just the cast that we're familiar with, and then completely just transitioning it where Kamala's got a new like main guy acquaintance in her life now, and the new guy like
Poor
playing,
Bruno,
like,
He's just like competing
Oh.
with these two other guys. First it was
Yeah, he's number 3 now.
Cameron. Yeah.
Cameron, the
He's
guy
number
that's
3.
like interdimensional being, and now he's competing with this super ninja of the Red Dagger. It's like, and what's he
going to
trying to do?
Caltech.
He's
going to Caltech, bro.
Good for him. Oh my fucking gosh.
Yeah, I feel bad for Bruno. I'm gonna complain about some more action sequences here. For me, the kind of chase scene, and you could say this is like kind of a long sequence. I was like kind of cringing through the whole thing, but like first they're on a bike, trying to drive away from this bus that they're driving, that the bad guys are driving. This like very much gave me the Hobbit level CGI vibes in terms of just like the way the bike was moving around, and they were like, going up onto one wheel and going around these corners and stuff. I didn't think it looked very good at all. And then I thought like the bus part when Kamala gets in the bus, I like first that she accidentally backs up. First, that's a fun callback to, that was like, maybe not the first shot of the first episode, but it was pretty early on.
It was pretty,
right?
yeah. It was pretty
So
damn close.
So that was a fun callback, but I just felt like it was weird for her to spend all this time like trying to figure out how to work this bus, and then she drives it for like a block and then just gets out and starts running again. So I don't know if it was supposed to be funny when she hit the guy with the belt. Was that supposed to be like a comedy beat? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I chuckled. I think it was like a shock factor thing. Like,
Okay.
holy fuck, he just flew. He just flew like 20 feet there.
Yeah, I guess it didn't really work for me, but yeah, I didn't really like that sequence. And then another thing that I found so strange was one of those goons, the Discount Eternals. One of them has like a mace, and he's swinging this mace around. But at one point, he's just like punching, like with a mace in his hand, as if it's just like a piece of paper, like a newspaper that he's holding or something. And he's just like punching with his fist. So once again, just choreography and all that, I just felt it was not good at any point. So I don't know. I think it's weird because in the previous episodes we haven't actually seen tons of action. It's just like short little sequences usually. Like one thing happens where she like hits the drones and then runs away, or a longer scene with the kid falling from the bell tower, but that's kind of just the same thing repeated. But I don't know. There's something with like these longer action sequences that are just not working for me. I think it's a mix of the CGI, but also just the quality of like the stunt actors and all this stuff. It's just not meshing well for me. And unfortunately, the action, which was like, I felt like 60% of this episode, just, I don't know, I was wanting it to be over the whole time.
Yeah, I've definitely seen better action, for sure. I don't know. I don't have too many things to like praise on that action size. I don't know if I could go to a more positive direction. We kind of been bagging
Please
on
do.
majority of this, so just to shout out something really, really nice, and maybe I'll start off as a possible con. That like that super important fabric that she was given from Waleed. I imagine that's going to be incorporated into her main outfit. When it's like the Mark IV version, maybe she's in like the Mark II or like Mark I. It started with her little mask, her raccoon mask there, and I love how it seems like she's just getting a piece, like an episode at a time. Like she got the mask, now she's got like the fabric for it, maybe, or I guess she started with the bandle,
Yeah.
or the bangle, sorry, not bandle, and then she'll just keep getting more gear until she's fully suited up for the finale. But I really like seeing her like with the mask on, even though she just had like her regular city clothes on. Like she was just in detective mode, like putting the mask on in there. Again, I found it extremely bold that she's just like going behind like the "do not cross this line" thing in like a completely foreign country, and she's Pakistani descent, but like still in my eyes, like she just seems so out of her element. You can see police officers with just like AK-47s like around their arm. I'm like, that is not somewhere I would go exploring, especially like if I'm completely brand new. So I feel like that was just like an ominous cloud over my own head. Like watching this episode is just like, this is just kind of unbelievable for me. Like I get it, it's MCU, it's geared for a younger audience, but her just going on these solo adventures in completely different, like, in a completely different country where, like, you don't know what's going on. It was hard for me to really go with, and I feel like being in Jersey City, like, it was really believable to have stuff like that going on. But the fact that we're now in Karachi, like, it was just it was strange for me, and I hope we get back to Jersey City soon. It's not to say that I don't like the places we go. It's just the logistics of it working in the show. It's not really working.
Mm-hmm.
I
What do
agree.
you think about her look, Taylor? Yeah, you like it? The mask and everything.
Like,
I will say when Waleed first gave her like that fabric, I swear it was like turquoise, like a greenish color, and then later on it's just like a navy blue type looking thing. I'm like, I hope they explain this changing colors, and go look it up, because I was like, I don't want to be wrong by bringing this up, so I actually went back in the episode, and it's a completely different color. I'm telling you right now. And you could maybe jog it down to like some lighting things, but it is so much more green when he first gives it to her, and then later on it's like, it looks like she has the outfit, like the red blouse type shirt, and then like the red vest on. So yeah.
I'll have to go back and check that out. I really do, like you said, like, I like the outfit. I keep seeing the posters of like her final costume, and I really like her final costume. I think it's super cool. So just the transition from her having this Captain Marvel cosplay costume to conforming into, yeah, she's got her mask now. She's getting her fabrics all like ready to go. She's gonna be Tobey Maguireing it up, sketching her suit and the notebook and everything like that. So no, I think it's awesome, and I'm excited to see. Well, we'll probably get the full costume kind of set up in that final episode. I'm wondering if she's gonna stitch it together, or if she's gonna, because she worked on the cosplay stuff, I guess, herself. Maybe she'll turn to Bruno and be like, Bruno, once more into the breach, just make this for me.
Get back to work, kid.
Yeah.
Just the friends, poor Bruno, just friend zone, doing all these like lackey type duties for her. Like, make me a costume that looks awesome. Okay, yes,
Yeah.
Kamala.
She just leaves the country, and she's texting Nokia 'cause she wants to like patch that up. She doesn't care about Bruno. She doesn't text him at all. I
Yeah,
mean, we
that-
see her on her phone at one point, but we don't like know who she's texting, so maybe that was him. But I'm guessing it was probably Nokia still.
He's probably asking for his fucking gloves back that she left in the bathroom.
Probably. Oh, that's funny. I will say, like, before that not so great looking fight scene between her and Chemo, I love that there was just like an AntMan like mural that was really cool, just to show that like the effects of like superheroes are just felt all over the world, even if AntMan technically wasn't. He might have been in Pakistan at some point in time. I didn't hear about that instant, in his adventures, but it was just really cool to have like a mural there. And it would be cool to see just, if we go other places, like other countries and stuff in the MCU going forward, we have so many characters to even like to get there on. And like, I'm sure there's people from all across the world. So just see the effects of superheroes in different places of the world. I think that's really fun.
Sokovians, yeah, that's
The Sokovia. Yeah, we're not, there's no murals on Sokovia anymore, unfortunately.
I do feel like Ant-Man has been highlighted a lot. Like, we obviously got the podcast joke, but I feel like in that first episode, I had the big head rolling around, people dressed up as
Right.
him, seeing him again here. So I don't know. I mean, I guess he's a pretty popular character now after Endgame. I'm sure when people see him as Giant Man cruising around, that's a
Right.
pretty fun, easy thing for people to get hyped on. But yeah, it seems like he's kind of a big deal. So that makes me wonder if we should look into that at all and think about, okay, does that mean that they are planning on making Ant-Man a bigger character? We talked about in our, not to spoil our 10-year MCU cast of like, here's all the projects for 10 years. We discussed that. Okay, they're doing this third Ant-Man movie, but then like maybe they won't do any more. But I don't know. Seems like they maybe want to keep him around. He's a big deal in this world.
I think it's definitely a marketing play. Could be some story elements, but I think it's totally marketing. Like, oh yeah, we got that Ant-Man Quantumania coming up around the corner. Let's like inseminate like this into the people's brains. Like, go see Ant-Man. Be like, oh, Ant-Man, yeah, this is Miss Marvel, and here and there. Let's go see it.
I want to hear his podcast.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Something else I'll shout out. I loved when they're just like going through like the streets of Karachi when she's trying to like sneak away to go to the train station, and she's with her cousins. And I like how her one cousin is just like doing like a tour of the city, but she has like an app of just like no, it's not this bill, it's the one over here. She's like, sorry, my app's crapping out. Like it's just like a very like modern way of like doing a tour guide thing, where you just you got all the technology there. Like you probably don't even need a tour guide. You can just go around with an app that tells you everything. But it was funny. I found her cousins funny enough. They just seem like very very hip and like a younger type generation, I guess. So they were fun. What else was I gonna shout out to? I guess I could ask, like, do you guys have any thoughts on like what Kamran is gonna be doing like going forward? Because he just kind of got left by the other makeshift Eternals, and then I love how we just keep shitting on the Eternals, and also these guys, I guess, because they're not even the Eternals level. They're the clandestines. They're the wannabe Eternals. But so yeah, he gets like abandoned by them. He looks pretty distraught, even though he helps them escape. Like he did his duty. But like, is he gonna be becoming like a Red Dagger or something, or is he gonna be going to Caltech with Bruno?
No, he's going off to the Ten Rings Fight Club to fight
Yeah,
Abomination and Wong and all that.
it's like I just rewatched that. And I could see him in one of those, like fights against the what's called from Iron Man 3, the
one of the
Stromo or no,
one of the Mandarin like wannabe firecrackers.
The firecrackers. We'll go.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's fighting one of those guys. But
yeah, I think they'll just. I think we were memeing, but I think he literally is like on a layover, and I mean they don't have a story reason. He's just gonna show up in a scene when Kamala's about to get defeated, and he's gonna pop down from the fucking chandelier or whatever roof is above her in that moment.
he's coming through the skylight.
Yeah,
that's like that's a
skylight.
staple in this show.
Fast travel in and help her out, and yeah, he'll just kind of be on her side, I guess. I don't really see another story thing for him. I could see him dying too, sacrificing himself or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that I don't think there's anything more interesting going on there with him. I think the glory days of his storyline has already come to pass, and we'll just get him in some random fight scene at some point here in this next episode, probably.
I agree.
Right on.
I mean,
As
I
fun as
like
prediction, I'm sure that was very, very intriguing.
When Kamala and her family and her mom like first get there to, I believe she's staying with Nani, right? Like her grandma there. Yeah. So and then she gets that room that just has like all like Nani's like art and just like little, I don't know, knickknacks and stuff that she like was able to take with her like during the partition when they just got displaced. That was a good moment too, to just like see these things, and then also just lead into just more explanation of like about the partition and what that did like for her family, and just kind of completely like displacing. I thought that was it was good stuff. Like it wasn't what didn't really have anything to do with Miss Marvel the superhero, but it still really fit with Kamala, like her, who she is, and like her family and stuff, and like that history, and also just shining more light like on this very important event or significant event. And then like it just felt like that good healthy balance. I felt like maybe there was some instances in this episode where they were leaning a little bit more. Maybe the best way to phrase it is like in the previous episodes, I thought the balance of like talking about like the partition event and like balancing it with like the plot of the show was really like 50-50. Like, if I'm quoting Moon Knight, like the scales were balanced in that situation. I felt like it maybe in this episode like we were leaning a little bit more on that stuff, but it was still important, especially the fact that they are in Karachi, and with how this episode ends of her like being kind of taken back in time, and like just seeing all the refugees, and like like really like sad quick lines between like families, like, my son, I'm too old, like just take all this money and go. Like it's just it's heart-wrenching, like it's insane. So the fact that they're actually there, and then now she's like going back to time to that event, like it does make sense that there was a lot more emphasis on that, maybe more explanation. I think just in the moment it wasn't hitting the best initially, but like as the episode finished, I think I was kind of correcting that. But I also think like maybe by the end of the show, like the balance will be there, the scales will be balanced. It was just initial thought from watching it.
Nice. I don't have any other notes personally.
Yeah.
So.
I got nothing.
I quickly brought up the last scene. Do you guys think she's gonna be, taken back in time? We're in a whole new setting now for this whole next episode. Do you think she's gonna get out of it pretty quick? Do you think it's just like a dream-like sequence, or what's gonna be happening there? Because I was kind of surprised that the episode ended with her like just still on that train, and she's kind of like stuck in time.
Well, I feel like actually that was the one moment where I don't know how they shot that scene, but that didn't feel like a CGI background, and it seemed like they had a lot of people there. So
yeah, I agree.
I would think that they're going to use that set piece a little bit more. So maybe we'll get like a 5-10 minute sequence or something like that at the start of next episode. But I don't think we would get any more than that. But maybe she goes and meets someone or finds something there.
Kamran.
Yeah.
It's like I just got off the plane. Yeah.
Doctor Strange is hanging out, Abomination, and then just pop back to the main timeline. But yeah, I mean, I think that actually was a pretty decent shot, I suppose. Just happened to be at the end of 45 minutes of I don't know, me like being bored out of my mind, so it didn't like hit that much. But yeah, I think it did look decent, so maybe they'll use it a bit more.
I agree.
How'd that look for you, scorfing your cereal down at this point?
I mean, it definitely. I agree. Like, it didn't look CGI. It looked like this was a lot of like practical effects and like a lot of actual actors actually moving around and bustling around and stuff like that. So it's definitely a larger set piece, and that would warrant them to focus on this period of time for a specific amount of time in the next episode. I'm with you, Dylan. I don't see it being more than like 10-15 minutes. I think they'll explore it for what story purposes they need to, and I think they'll move on, because the penultimate episode they have to set up whatever large kind of situation will be unfolding in that 6th episode. So, and I mean, Moon Knight's finale, I mean, it definitely was very granular, but at times it definitely felt like it was a little rushed. And I hope that they don't rush this finale. And that's my only thing, really. So hopefully, like, going into this next episode, they can really showcase and pull what story elements they need to from this previous point in time. Use that to help keep the story cohesively moving forward. And yeah.
I'm
Nice.
fearful that it will be quite rushed, considering that we're
Yeah.
starting this episode in some dream world. We still got to do some stuff in Karachi. We still got to go back to New Jersey, you would think. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I've lost faith. I hope I can get turned around, but I think I've lost faith, unfortunately.
You gotta have healthy expectations. I think you don't want to be completely ruined. My last thing, one last note, quick. When they're in when Kamala's in like the Red Dagger like hideout, and Waleed has this map, and he like shows it's got like a magnifying device that like rotates on the map, and then it like has a little switch, and it like shows, I don't know, like the effects of the dimension like crossing between. I don't remember specifically what he said, but just the overall map with like that magnifying glass. I've seen it, I swear, in like Dishonored or something. Like I've seen it in like some other like property, and I feel like since I've seen it, and the more I see it, I'm like, I just want to have like a nice like bad guy type library with like my desk and everything, and then behind me is just one of those maps with like a magnifying glass. It looks so cool. Like I don't even know what the full purpose. I guess just to zoom in and like a location that you're looking for, but it looks so cool. I don't even know what the name of it is, but it looks really cool. So
I feel like
Wrote
that
that
was
down
my
in my
dream as a kid, was to have a house that has a secret room that
oh yeah,
I can just have all like crazy shit like that in it for
and
no
traps. Yeah, oh yeah. You hit that button and just like a cellar door opens.
reason. Yeah.
Gotta have alligators, the moat.
Definitely.
Right on. I have nothing else. Episode 4 over.
Well, that does it. We will be back, and we'll see if Travis wants to come back. He just hates the show so much now. He just can't even be on the review anymore. So
I believe it.
yeah, that's that with him. But yeah, we'll be back. We got plenty more content coming around, newscasts, reviews, all that jazz. But yeah, we'll see you in the search bar. Have a good night.
See ya.
Peace.